Okay, I'm seeing that we are live, and I'm seeing that we have a green 4 transfer rate. So, unfortunately, let me post a link into the last video. Sorry, folks, there was a major network outage or something. I have no idea what happened, to be honest. Something happened. Par for the course this week, and I am working on getting us all back up and running here. So,
hello again.
Yeah, if you have arrived at the new stream, then thank you. If not, I'll be posting a link to the old stream in just 1 second here. Yeah. So, okay.
Okay. Do we just jump back in? Do you think we just jump back in?
Well, we only have 3 people in so far.
Thanks for being here. Oh, 13 people they're trickling in. Okay, I think maybe people are figuring out we got smart folks.
Yeah, we do.
So we'll figure it out. Okay.
I'll post this in the comments here.
Okay, good call.
Okay. Sorry, folks. Big technical difficulties here. Hopefully everything is much better for you in the new stream. That is a huge bummer for us because we just sent out a link with all of the previous show notes. But I'm seeing green on my end, so let me know if everybody is seeing a better stream now or not. I'm seeing some green. So, all right.
Okay.
Svelte and TypeScript. So, before we got news that was choppy, I was explaining that this course was initially going to be Svelte and Svelte Kit, but because I got sick, I had to stop halfway through. And so the first half of it is going live today. The second half is going live. Oh, man. Hopefully early 2 weeks from now, depending on when I can talk for long periods of time without coughing. That would be ideal. And but, you know, I should say that a lot of the stuff in Svelte Kit for TypeScript, Svelte Kit handles a lot of it for you. So it's mostly like learning where to look for things, where with Svelte, there's a lot of like interesting tidbits in terms of how you type different Svelte technology. So that's the new course is just Svelte as a UI language, done so through a Svelte Kit project, but it's just Svelte. And we talk mostly about things like typing props, optional props, events, custom events. We get into DOM element stuff, DOM events, actions, complex state typing, and basically the stuff that you're going to be using day to day with Svelte and TypeScript.
Beautiful overview. Amazing. Okay, let's take one step back real quick now that we have a handful of people here. The way that this event will go is I'm going to ask Scott a handful of questions just to get the gist of what this course is, why he built it, how he built it, what's interesting about it, why you should care or not care. And then from that, we'll move into like audience Q&A. So if you have questions about this course, about level up tutorials, about us, about anything, pop them in the chat. We will have a formal allocated time after I ask Scott a handful of random questions, and we'll get to those later. So if you have something as we're talking, pop it in. Maybe we'll address it as we go. If not, we'll touch on it at the end. Let's get into it. So my first question for you is just going to be, can you give us a little bit of overview of the course and what it's about? You basically already did that. Is there anything else you wanted to add just generally about this course?
No, but I do want to emphasize again that this is just part 1. So I know we had initially advertised as being the whole thing. So no, in my opinion, Svelte and TypeScript play really nicely together. And there are some things that, just like in Svelte or compared to React or other front-end frameworks, a lot of the times the approach ends up being more simple than you might expect. So with this course, you're going to really understand exactly the core foundational skills so that Svelte is not the problem if you're working in a Svelte and TypeScript context. Because TypeScript, if you haven't picked it up in a real capacity yet, can be one of those things that gets frustrating to learn over time. So the big goal for this course was to focus on the Svelte stuff specifically in terms of you'll always know where to go to type things in Svelte, and less worry about some of the complex elements of TypeScript, so that way we can dive in, and that way you can know everything you'll want to know about how to apply your TypeScript learning to Svelte without necessarily being a TypeScript pro or anything like that. But eventually we do get into some more complex things as they're needed. And again, half the time, or maybe not half the time, maybe like 90% of the time that you end up having issues with TypeScript after understanding where to go for everything, it's because of TypeScript, not because of the combination of TypeScript and Svelte. And that's nice because you can just focus in on getting better at TypeScript in that way.
Cool. Nice. So most of us know that you love Svelte. Let's take a moment to hear a little bit more about why you like Svelte, why other people should, and then maybe the same for TypeScript.
Yeah, I like Svelte because it helps us write complex user interfaces in a more concise, faster, easier way. And I like it for so many reasons beyond the technical impressiveness of it. But again, I think the biggest killer feature for me at Svelte is just how easy it makes writing your components. And likewise, that really passes through into how it interacts with TypeScript. Because Svelte is simple, it doesn't require a lot of complex type situations. I mean, there's a React TypeScript cheat sheet that's like an entire website. Somebody had to make an entire website as a Svelte and React cheat sheet. And I was like trying to do that for Svelte as like an accompaniment to this course. And I was like, it's really not that big. It's much more simple to learn, especially if you're newer to TypeScript. As far as TypeScript goes, why do I like TypeScript? We refactored our website into TypeScript, and which is hard to do, to refactor a big website that's existent to TypeScript. But the one thing that I'm most appreciative of about with TypeScript is just how well it finds the little things that wouldn't even constitute as bugs, but potential bugs and potential issues in your code, and it lets you know with a big red warning, hey, you can't do this. But if you tried to run the same code in the browser would say, oh yeah, you can do this. It might work fine, or it might not throw an error. It might just like have unexpected results. But with TypeScript, you know ahead of time what the potential issues in your site are. It's not going to identify every bug in your code base, but it definitely finds potential bugs. And when we rewrote our application into TypeScript, it just felt so much more solid. I always knew where everything was. I always knew what everything was supposed to be, but it also uncovered, 20 little UI issues that wouldn't have been uncovered without it. Or somebody having to email us saying, hey, this thing is a little weird here. You have not a number being shown instead of an actual number. Okay. That's the kind of thing TypeScript's going to help you with, right?
Nice. Yeah. And like you said, it sounds like they play really well together.
Yeah, it's a co-pilot.
Any other reasons why you decided to put this course together right now?
Yeah, I have a big plan for Svelte content this year. I love Svelte. No surprise there. But after getting the Svelte Kit 1.0 site or course out, like the big concern for me was like, what are the next tools that people are going to need to be like pro Svelte developers? And TypeScript's definitely, high up, if not the next highest thing in order on that list. There's advanced use cases for Svelte Kit as well, that, course topics that I'm actively outlining right now. But if somebody is looking to become a better Svelte and Svelte Kit developer, having TypeScript knowledge in that regard, in my opinion, is something that is probably needed at this stage in the game in terms of being able to write large, complex applications.
Good. Yeah. So you're thinking about the audience as the users, what they need to become successful using these tools.
Yeah.
Nice. Cool. All right. Let's get into kind of what's in the course. What are we going to be doing? What are we building? What are we learning? What's happening in there?
Yeah, so this is the outline of part 1 of the course. Again, part 2 is going to contain a lot of other stuff as well in regards to Svelte Kit, but you're going to be understanding, what's up with JS doc versus TypeScript syntax and how we can use that knowledge to read both of them, because the Svelte Kit maintainers and creators prefer the JS doc style syntax. So what you end up seeing is a lot of JS doc style documentation. However, that's not like the syntax that a lot of other people are using. So I would say most people probably end up using TypeScript syntax in general. And Svelte Kit makes it really easy to do that. So we use TypeScript syntax through this course, but I wanted you to have an understanding of how to understand and read both of them too. If you want to prefer to work in one or the other, you should be able to take the same lessons out of this course. We talk about the things that you do every single day in TypeScript and Svelte. So whether that's props, events, we get into some cooler Svelte APIs like context and custom events. We talk a lot about Svelte actions and even typing custom events from actions, which is one of those things that feels complex until you really know what to do. So what's cool about Svelte is that it utilizes the DOM so much that we get access to a lot of the types that you might need from the DOM. We get access to everything else from Svelte where needed, and we talk a lot about where to hunt and how to find and how to read TypeScript type code, so that way when you import your types or whatever, you're not having to, bang your head against the wall to try to figure out how to use these things in your code base, but you can make educated guesses and decisions on what to use when and where to find that information. So if you could think of like a basic Svelte topic, we have covered it in a quick example to show you how to type it in TypeScript. And oftentimes we're building that component to do the types for it. For instance, like one of the examples is we build a click outside action. So when you click outside of something, like you'd frequently have this like as a pop-up window on your website, right? The window pops up, you click away from it, it should close that window. So we built that functionality in Svelte from scratch while we're typing it. So we're not just taking code that already exists and applying types to it, we're writing code from scratch as well as taking code that already exists and adding types to it, talking about how those all work together.
Beautiful. Very cool. What's part 2 going to look like?
That's a mystery. No, part 2 is going to be so the way this course works is that if you took the Svelte Kit course that we have on the site, we're using basically that same code base. Now I've modified it, I've improved it, I've made it look a little bit nicer CSS wise, but it's that same code base. And so part 1 is a lot of building up foundational skills. And then what part 2 is going to be taking this exact code base that we have here and converting the entire thing to TypeScript with me along the way as we're doing individual small lessons on various aspects of the Svelte Kit APIs, like interacting with the server data, interacting with maybe locals, or all kinds of things that you're going to need to do in a real world Svelte Kit app. And we already have the app here, so much so that it's the same app that we built in the last Svelte Kit tutorial, but everything in here is a JS file. So things like this have no types at all associated with it, and we'll be talking about what are the proper ways to do types for an entire project, converting along the way.
So do you recommend people taking the Svelte Kit 1.0 course?
They don't have to. If they have Svelte Kit knowledge, if you can build a site using the version 1 APIs of Svelte Kit, you don't need to take the course. But if you want to have that foundational skill or whatever, then that's cool too. Again, we're just going to be really focusing on like what are the things that even like what we did with the version 1 course, what are the things that you're going to need every single day that you're working in Svelte and TypeScript, so that way you don't get hung up in your own work, which is the worst. I gotta now, instead of making something, I'm having to go Google how to do it.
Mm-hmm. Any other experience you want people to have before coming into this course?
You should at least have like basic Svelte and Git knowledge to be able to clone a repository. This isn't a absolute beginner's course, considering TypeScript's not necessarily a beginner's topic, and since it's already building on like skills that exist within Svelte. So you should at least have an understanding of kind of where things go inside of Svelte, but then also have the ability to get a Svelte Kit site up and running. If you have that, then you should be good to go on the TypeScript side of things, because we talk a lot about basics, we talk about versions, we talk about where to look for things and what it means to type something.
Cool. So you touched a little bit already on the benefits of knowing Svelte and TypeScript. Sounds like they worked so well together and makes you a better developer. Are there any other Any other benefits, real world applications, anything around these technologies that aren't obvious?
We talk in the course. We talk more than just about like, here's the thing. How do you type the thing, right? Because typing the thing can get you there, but it won't make your code what's called type safe in terms of like what's always a number should remain a number unless it's becomes something else. It's transformed to something else. So that thing is typed as a number. That way, if we try to apply things that are not towards numbers to it, the code's going to complain, right? But there are situations where you can get into, especially if you don't know any better, where TypeScript's happy. TypeScript says there's no issues with your code. Your code is fine, but the code is still not safe. So we talk a lot about how to write types so that it not only satisfies TypeScript and makes TypeScript happy, but also protects you from potential issues that could arise if perhaps you're typing in a different way. So we talk a lot about strategy in addition to just how to do it.
Cool. So it sounds like there probably is a growing demand for developers who have TypeScript and Svelte experience.
Yeah, I'd say so, especially as Svelte, Svelte Kit has recently hit version 1.0, as we all know, and it was a big monumentous thing because now people can release things on Svelte Kit and not feel like it's built on shaky ground. And I think that's going to continue to drive Svelte Kit adoption. And with that comes TypeScript, because one of the big things we saw in especially the state of JS this year, but pretty much trends through every single year since really TypeScript hit the scene, its adoption rate just continues to grow and grow and grow. People that you talk to say, I'll never build another application without TypeScript because of how productive it makes me. And honestly, I wasn't necessarily on the fence, but I definitely was I'll wait and see, because there were several competing versions of the same type of thing. I'll say wait and see which one wins out, right? Once it became clear that TypeScript was the standard that everybody's kind of going off of, I went into TypeScript hard, and I'm of the exact same mind. I cannot go back to coding without it. It's too essential and part of my workflow now. So,
well, now I'm curious to hear what our audiences think. If they've tried Svelte with TypeScript, if they've messed around in TypeScript at all. I mean, I'm sure a lot of them are really curious about learning more. That's why they're here. But yeah, just knowing that it's growing in popularity, both of these technologies. Curious to see what people have to say if they have any experience in there. Awesome. So to kind of wrap it all up, who do you recommend this course for and why?
Oh, yeah. I recommend it for anybody who's interested in building applications with Svelte. Specifically, if you're not like a TypeScript pro. You could be experienced with TypeScript, still take this course and get a lot out of it. Absolutely, because we're showing you where to go for things, right? We're giving you a bit of a roadmap. But even if you don't have that experience, we talk a lot about, as we go, situations where Svelte's going to save your butt, and or TypeScript's going to save your butt. And so, because of that, I think this is a good course for anybody who might even be skeptical on TypeScript, but who's interested in Svelte, because maybe this will illuminate and maybe this will click for you why this thing actually is helping us, and also how it's not really adding on that much to our actual code. Because when we take a look at some of our TypeScript code, you're really not doing a whole lot to your application. There's not a ton of buy-in because Svelte already ships TypeScript for you. You can just drop in types directly inside of a lang.ts in your script, and you're basically good to go. So, it'll show you just how little tooling will need to be set up for this for you to really take off and experiment with TypeScript.
Amazing. Anything else about the course you want to talk about before we reach into the audience Q&A?
No, but I do, once again, just because people arrive at this different times, I do want to emphasize part 2 is coming very soon. I'm working hard away at it. I just have to finish recording. So, yeah.
Yeah. It's impressive that you even able to do this one with your your sicknesses.
I know. I was editing this one from the couch. I got my little mug of tea. I'm sitting there trying to edit it really quick, and yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, that's hard. That's hard. Germy little kids you got running around there.
Oh yeah. Yeah, my daughter just coughs right in your face, and you're just like, oh, I know what I'm doing next week. I'm gonna be sick.
Literally the only time I spent with children this year, or I guess it was last year, I got sick.
Nice.
I hung out with them 2 days and I got sick.
That's not that surprising. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not. No.
Yeah.
I was like kind of holding her over here. All right. If you guys have any questions, pop them in. We'll look back to see what people are saying in the chat. And then we'll answer them as we go. Let's see. Yep. Okay. People are answering a little bit around if they're using TypeScript and Svelte. Seems like a lot of people already use TypeScript and they're coming into this course hoping to get a little bit more experience with Svelte. That's what I'm learning here. Josh Allen asked, so this is a semi-Svelte tutorial, semi-TypeScript tutorial. Thanks,
yeah.
guys.
Yeah. You know what? It's not going to turn you into a TypeScript pro. Certainly. That's not its intention. We do have a TypeScript course on Level Up that you can always take that's going to be a bit more TypeScript heavy focus. But we do use some complex types in some situations in here where you'll get experience with generic patterns. So one of the more complicated things inside of types in TypeScript, or that especially people new to types experience is not understanding these angled brackets and what the heck they're doing here and how that works and how that plays into things. And especially when you get into complex situations where the code itself, can feel more complex. And so you're already maybe stressed out from the code you're writing and maybe being uncertain of what you're writing there, only to have like extra characters and extra stuff thrown in. So we are definitely having an emphasis on teaching you those aspects of it, but by no means are you going to walk out of it being like, oh, I can write TypeScript for anything. So it's more of a tutorial. Instead of being a semi-Svelte, semi-TypeScript tutorial, it's more of a tutorial on the blending of the two.
Cool. That's exactly what Josh Allen eventually said.
Well,
obviously the blending of two. Isn't Josh Allen a football player?
Oh, I feel like Josh Allen is a football player. Football fans out there. Unfortunately, all of the football teams that I follow are bad, so I cannot tell you about good players.
Yeah, he's the quarterback
for the Bills.
For the Bills,
that's what I would have guessed. Yeah, I know the Bill. Hey, it's the Super Bowl this weekend.
It is.
Yeah. So
wild if we just got an NFL super quarterback on here.
Oh yeah. Hey, I told you I was at a party. This is an aside for everybody.
Yeah.
I was at a party for like a kid's birthday party, and one of the kids who attended that was Russell Wilson's child from the Denver Broncos, because that child goes to the same elementary school, I think it's a kindergarten maybe, as the little girl whose birthday this was. And Russell Wilson wasn't there. It was like his bodyguards and stuff were there. There was like a bodyguard and a babysitter or whatever they have for a nanny was there. But Russell Wilson's kid was there playing. It was like pretty fun to know that, we're at social events that you're just be like, oh, that's like a local celebrity's, I guess he's a national celebrity's child. What's up?
That's wild. Was everyone like, that kid's famous?
Everyone was like, that kid's famous. Yeah, everyone's kind of and his bodyguard, Russell Wilson's probably huge, massive. His bodyguard was like maybe the largest person I've ever seen, and he's just sitting on a little chair in the lobby waiting for the kid. I was just like, so they really like stuck out just by his pure size, the sheer size of the man. Yeah.
I mean, I went to my little cousin's. No, this will be short. I went to my little cousin's grad party a couple summers ago, and she just casually babysits for Kyle Rudolph, which is like he's no longer with the Vikings, but
he is
a Vikings tight end. And you're just sitting there like, he's huge. And you're just kind of like,
okay,
you're just here at my cousin's house. What are you doing? It's just weird. And like their kids were there and everything. Just very, very cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway,
some of the Avalanche used to live like a walk like on the other side of the park from us. So whenever we walked over there, I'd always be looking for. I know Nazim Kadri and Nathan McKinnon lived over there, so I'm always like looking for Nathan McKinnon because I knew he had a specific type of dog. I'm like, gotta find his dog.
Now I want to know if anybody else has any experiences with professional athletes just roaming around,
just hanging out.
That's fun. Yeah, that's very fun. Okay. What else do we have going on in here?
Do you get into any organization patterns suggestions with type interface utility files? Yeah, we talk a little bit about that. I talk a bit about when to pull your types out of a file versus where to define them. Like sometimes we're defining them in the file, or sometimes we're defining them in a extra file, and want to talk about that. We mostly just use straight up interfaces. Again, we're not getting too complex. The most complex thing that we're doing type wise is passing things in as a generic into any one of these types. So like being able to specify what types a writable is for to say. So that's like honestly the most complex type stuff we're getting into beyond strategy in terms of like, if you write it this way, it will save your butt. If you write it this way, it will not. I think there's maybe, some of this good. There's we talk about, maybe not in this file. Let me look around. We have like one specific moment where we're talking specifically about strategy in terms of, you will see this suggested on many different Stack Overflow posts saying how to do it. And you will also see this suggested. And here's why I recommend this one. Here's why I recommend this strategy for these following reasons. But it will work either way. This one's just going to give you this added protection here. But we don't, like I said, the complexity of the types that we're writing. Yeah, this might be one of the more complex types we're writing right here. And that's really not that complex for a TypeScript Pro, but for a beginner in TypeScript, you might not know what this is being read as without us talking through it.
Very cool. Which question were you just answering?
It was Pat's.
Okay, got it.
And Pat, the Carolina Hurricanes are definitely going to win tonight because I can't stand the Rangers.
Oh yeah, he's your hockey buddy.
He's my hockey buddy, yeah.
Justin looks like he has a question right there. May I read it?
Yes, please.
Is this okay, Justin asks, is this a fairly pure setup with Svelte Kit and TypeScript via CLI? Or are you integrating a package like TRPC as well?
Super pure. There's no dependencies outside of what comes in to Svelte Kit by default, as far as I know. I'm pretty sure. I didn't install any in this course. The only dependencies that would have been installed extra outside of this would have been from the last course. But no, I think it's just Svelte preprocess, which we don't even use in this course. So it's super pure. We're not like, and I want to stress too that again for part 2 is when we're getting into some of the stuff that might mesh with that question a little bit more, because in that's when we're talking about data coming in and out and things like that. And we're going to keep it very Svelte focused in that regard. In the past, we've definitely gotten burned by adding on small little things here and there to make the course maybe like what the common stacks are that people are using. And then one thing in that stack changes and the whole course is ruined, rather than, this we're worrying about something that just hit version 1 that's not going to change here. So yeah, we want to keep it we want this course to be the most like specific place you can go to learn about Svelte and TypeScript and Svelte Kit and TypeScript together. Just like the React cheat sheet for TypeScript is the place many people would go for that as well.
It's a good segue into this question from Jed235. What's the biggest difference between using TypeScript with Svelte versus React?
Svelte, in React, because of the nature of hooks in general in React, I found typing things in React to be a little interesting. The part 2 of this course, when we talk about data coming in from the server, is going to help there so much, because one of the things that TypeScript does really well with Svelte is that it integrates the server side of your data all the way to the client side, so everything is always kind of talking to each other. Everything knows what the correct type of it all is, and those aspects of it get really, really super nice. But we don't get too much into that into the part one of this necessarily. But in the React world, between hooks, between loading data, just in general with the virtual DOM not being access to the DOM types that you typically might have, there's a lot of things that I think React has more gotchas. And Svelte maybe has a little bit more of, because Svelte is a bit more bespoke in its authoring, so to say. Svelte is a little magical, they say, I guess is the way that people might have heard that. And by being magical, it has kind of unique ways of doing things. So we want to talk, what are the ways that we actually have to handle this subscribable store of data. Those are the things that get more complex into Svelte, but by all means, I think just like with everything in Svelte world, it all feels lighter. It all feels like less code, essentially.
Lighter and less code. All sounds really nice. I'm seeing a couple other fun comments just on sports.
Oh yeah. Josh Allen from Michigan. Shout out to Michigan. I'm from here. I had somebody ask me to do that at a parent, like you go kids parties, and there's like a parent like, "Oh, where are you from?" I was like, "All right, I'm from here." Yeah.
I love that. I mean, I knew of that being from Minnesota. We saw that. Cool. Are there any other questions? I'm not seeing any that we met, and hopefully we didn't miss any up higher. While everyone might be thinking about a last question, I'm going to drop a few links in the chat. Just because you guys joined, we're going to give you the opportunity to win a free month of Level Up Pro. All you have to do is just give us your email, and we won't use it for anything unless you say we can. And if you say we can, then all we're going to do is send you like an email every week or something, but you don't have to choose that. But yeah, just put your email in there, and one random person will be selected to win a full month of Level Up Pro, which is enough time to go through like all this Svelte stuff for sure. Additionally, here's the course, guys and gals. And then finally, I always like to add this, because if you're not in our Discord, then you're missing out. Those are the 3 links that are important. Fill out that Google form to win. Go check out the course, and then join us in Discord to hang out and talk.
Yeah, we talk about a lot of stuff beyond code. We talk about video games and sports, and also code. All those things. Code. Sometimes code, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Are there any other questions? I don't see any coming in.
I don't either. So yeah, again, part 2 on its way. It's going to be a great accompaniment to this course, especially if you are looking to build full stack applications in Svelte.
Yeah. Thanks for being here. We'll hang on for like a second, just in case people are typing their questions. But thank you for being here. Thank you for hanging in while we flipped around to a new stream. We always like to keep you guys on your toes.
Oh, yeah.
Really why.
That's exactly why.
That's what it is.
We have absolutely tech difficulties every time. If there's anything I should be good at, it's live streaming. I'll get it together one of these days. That's for sure.
Oh, it's fun. It reminds me of early COVID, when everyone who never used technology was trying to figure out technology.
Oh yeah, totally. I know. It's just OBS is a lot of buttons, so.
A lot of buttons. Awesome. Thanks, everyone. Hope you have a good weekend. Maybe you'll watch the Super Bowl, maybe not. I'm just going to eat food and pretend to watch the game.
Yep.
Because I'm always mad that the Vikings don't make it,
Well, you're going to be mad for an awful long time.
I know. We have a Bud Light from 2016, 1 can of Bud Light that has like the Minnesota Vikings logo on it. We're waiting until we win the Super Bowl. So it's going to be a very delicious Bud Light.
Oh, gosh. Good luck.
It might be poisoned by then.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much. Hope you check out the course. Bye.
Thank you.